sports podcast with the youngest, most daring, intrepid, gutsy, fearless host on the planet. Get ready for Jake's Takes. Here's Jake.
Welcome back. I am Jake, and this is Jake's Takes, where I get your favorite athletes and stars to open up and speak what's really on their minds. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you won't believe the guests I have lined up. Get ready, sports fans, because Jake's Takes is the show you've been waiting for. Today's guest is by far my favorite baseball player in the MLB. He was an All-American center fielder in college. He set the NCAA record with a 54-game hitting streak in 2010 and established his school's all-time record with a career batting average of .367. He was drafted by the Blue Jays in the 2011 Major League Baseball draft. He was a fan favorite and absolute stud in center field for the Blue Jays, earning him the title of Superman for his ridiculous defensive plays. He was an integral part of the Jays teams that made deep playoff runs in both 2015 and 2016. He later went on to play for the San Francisco Giants, the Red Sox, and the Colorado Rockies. This year, he's playing with the New York Mets, a team with huge expectations and have a real shot to win the World Series. It's my absolute honor to welcome to Jake's Takes the best center fielder in the game, Kevin Pillar. What's up, Kevin? How you doing?
Definitely the best introduction I think I've ever had. Any interview, anything I've ever done. You just made me feel really, really good about myself. I'm actually very excited about going back into work tomorrow. I'm going to have a little extra pep in my step, a little extra swagger showing up at the ballpark tomorrow. And I will definitely be thinking about you when I walk in tomorrow.
That's what I'm talking about. But I really can't describe how awesome this is for me to have you join me. You got to remember. When I was 7, I came to a game and you were signing autographs for me and my friends. And you just couldn't decide who to get the first autograph. And then you pointed to me and said, You talk the most. Let's nickname you Chatty and sign my glove first. And then I saw you again at my grandfather's business when I walked in and you said, Hey, it's Chatty. You remember that, Kevin?
I do. I definitely remember that. There are certain times in your career that, you go over and, at least for me, I've always tried to interact with the fans, especially the young kids, as much as possible. There's certain times in your career people stand out. You happen to be one of those. It's not all the time you meet a 7-year-old that's just, very confident in himself and talks a lot. A lot of times you have to try to get answers out of him. You have to try to spark conversation, especially with a 7-year-old. You definitely weren't like that. So, kudos to you. I'll always remember that. I saw you, I don't know, maybe it was a year, 2 years later, and I definitely remembered you. So, like I said, kudos to you for being able to do that and being memorable. And it doesn't surprise me at all that you're doing something like this with, just your passion and love for sports, but also just your confidence and your ability to talk and, articulate. So it's really cool you're doing this.
Thanks so much. I hope Amanda and the kids are doing great. And now it's time to talk some baseball. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Before we talk about your upcoming year, I gotta go back in time to the epic Bautista bat flip, a moment for the ages. After a really tough top of the 7th inning, and you guys gave up the lead, tell me what were the emotions running through your head in the bottom half of the inning. and then what you felt leading up to the homer and right after it.
Well, it even goes back a little bit before that. We were down 0-2 in the series. We had extremely high hopes going into the playoffs. Felt like we were the best team in baseball. We were the best team in baseball. It had been a long time since the Blue Jays had, playoff baseball in Toronto, and we went down 0-2 real quick. And I don't want to say that there was a little bit of humbling, but I think we realized that our backs were up against the wall, and it was either put up or shut up. And we went into Texas and kind of got our swagger back, and we were so excited to come back to Toronto and finally get a playoff win. And it was kind of a back and forth game. Two really good pitchers on the mound, kept it really close. And, for a kind of a freak play, for me to be in the major leagues at that time, have been playing baseball my whole career, to never had seen that play happen. And, witness it for the first time in such a huge moment in baseball, in my career, in a go-home game was crazy. And you talk about just a roller coaster of emotions, from feeling like, oh my God, are we going to lose this game on some bizarre play that I've never even heard of or ever even seen, to, the highest highs in my career, which is kind of crazy to say because it wasn't something that I actually did. It was just something that I was on the field. It was a teammate of mine. For that to be kind of the highlight of my career, or the biggest moment in my career, and it wasn't something that I physically did, just speaks to how incredible that moment was. And you think about all the other things that kind of led up to it, with 3 consecutive errors, Donaldson kind of getting jammed on a 2-0 pitch that the second baseman misplayed, and I had the, opportunity to score the tying run for, at least you felt like, we had a chance. We felt like we had a really good bullpen at that time. To score that tying run, just kind of at least, erase the previous half inning before. Felt like we were going to go into the 8th inning with, a chance to win this game. And, a couple pitches later, Bautista, hits arguably one of the most memorable home runs in baseball. The creator kind of the bat flip movement, and the rest is history.
I think it was crazy that there was not just one ridiculous play in that inning. There was 2. I was literally yelling at the screen when Russell Martin threw it against his bat and they let him score. I was like, what? How could this happen? Why are you letting this? And also, another thing that was going through my mind, which was ridiculous, is that I was at games 1 and 2 of the series, so my sister got to go to game 7. Can you imagine my sister over me? What a joke! Ridiculous.
You'll appreciate that one day when you have a family, that there's this thing called sharing, and sometimes things are out of your control. And hopefully your sister hopefully that day made her a baseball fan. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like to think that, maybe she was put there for a reason. Maybe she went to that game and wasn't a big baseball fan and got to witness something so memorable, so magic, that she's now forever a lifetime baseball fan.
Yeah, she loves baseball now, and you're a smart man, Kevin. Before we shift focus to the Mets, do you ever think about the possibility, coming back to Toronto to finish off your career? You don't even need to finish it off here. Just come back for a year. Because bottom line, Kevin, you're always a Toronto Blue Jay after all you did for us. I can speak to Shapiro and Atkins if you want me to. Just give me the green light and I will.
Yeah, put in a good word. I'm contractually obligated to play with the New York Mets this year and potentially next year. There'll be a time in my career that I will enter free agency again. And yes, something always in the back of my mind. It would be kind of a magical fairy tale ending to my career. Whenever I decide, or whenever baseball decides it's going to be the end, there's definitely something in me that would love the opportunity to go back there. And, at that time I'll have a little bit older kids and just hopefully get to enjoy, the city one last time. And who knows, at that point, we'll be talking about that team as a team that's, ready to compete and try to win a World Series. If that's not this year, that's definitely coming in the near future.
So you're down in Florida now, and spring training is one thing that is one of the most exciting times of year. Baseball is in the air. You recently signed a deal with the New York Mets, as you just mentioned. How great is it to be back reunited with your old pal, Marcus Stroman? Hashtag Stro Show. I saw on Twitter how pumped he was to have Superman join his team once again. You feel the same, Kevin? You feel the same?
Yeah, definitely excited to be reuniting with a teammate in a place that we feel like we have an opportunity to accomplish something that we felt, so close to being able to accomplish in Toronto. Baseball is kind of a small knit community. You play with some people, you come up with some people for a long time, and then you get traded or you hit free agency and you kind of go your separate ways for a couple years. But it's definitely nice to know, when the Mets kind of came to be and we worked out all the details in order to, allow me the opportunity to come play for them, to know that I had at least one familiar face on the team. And, the moment I arrived, I saw him. It was as if time had, stood still. He's still a good friend of mine. I still enjoy his company. I still love watching him go out there and compete every single day. And I definitely look forward to getting the opportunity to play behind him once again. And, like I said, hopefully get to a point where we can complete some unfinished business that we started, what is now 5-6 years ago.
Is this Mets team the best team you've been a part of?
I think it is. I think it is close. I think on paper, yes. I think there's still a little bit of growth to be had as far as camaraderie and becoming a team. I think the 2015 team will definitely be the probably to this point the best team that I played on, as far as not just names on the paper, but the way we were able to come together as a team and care about one another, and the amount of time we spent together. Obviously, with everything going on in the world right now, that makes stuff like that a little bit more challenging. We are doing the best we can considering the circumstances here in Florida, with all the guidelines and restrictions that we have, to get to know each other and, bond and try to come together. There's a lot of similarities, though. There's a lot of guys here in New York that all kind of came up in the minor leagues together, are here in the big leagues together. This is probably their second, third year together in the big leagues. You got guys like myself. You guys got like Lindor, some additions to the bullpen, Almora, a couple pieces, James McCann, that are all guys kind of coming into already a tight-knit group, which reminds me of a lot of the guys that I came up with in Toronto. And then you added the additions of Tulo and David Price and Mark Lowe and Troy Hawkins and Ben Revere. There's a lot of similarities. And it's what really excited me about the opportunity to come here and play was to get that feeling back of from day one of spring training, we're talking about winning a World Series. There's no surprise. There's no secrets. That's everyone's goal here, and we've been working from day one to accomplish that goal.
Okay, Kevin. Now on Jake's Takes, it's time for some rapid fire. I'll ask you a bunch of short questions, and you answer them as quick as you can. Deal?
Deal.
Let's go. Toughest pitcher you ever faced?
Blake Snell, Cy Young year.
Fastest player in the MLB?
You said fastest player in the MLB?
Yeah.
I'm going Trey Turner.
Who do you like more? Donald Trump or Rougned Odor?
Donald Trump.
Will the Raptors trade Kyle Lowry before the deadline?
No.
What's worse, laundry or dishes?
Dishes.
If you had to run backwards, could you still beat Russell Martin in a race?
No chance.
How much money does Kevin Kiermaier bribe the MLB to win the Gold Glove over you?
Nothing. He well deserved.
You're just saying that to be nice. If you had to invest in one player's baseball card, who would it be?
If I had to do what?
If you had to invest in one player's baseball card, who would it be?
I had to invest in one player's baseball card. Fernando Tatis Jr.
Wrong answer. You're talking to him right here. What's your favorite ballpark to play in?
Dodger Stadium.
We have a winner! Kevin Pillar, you just hammered that rapid fire like it was a hanging breaking ball you crushed over the green monster. I have 2 more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. Sound good?
Sounds good.
The younger generation feels the game of baseball is too slow and boring. They want a faster-paced game, and MLB continues to make changes to speed up the pace of play. Just as a disclaimer, I have loved every minute of a baseball game since I was 3 and love the game as it is. How do you feel about the changes, and do you think it messes with the integrity of the game?
No, I think changes are good. I think if you look at other leagues across the board, they're constantly adapting and tweaking and making some rule changes. They're not afraid to think outside the box. I think when you make some rule changes, they're not always going to work. Some of them will work, some of them won't work. But what you do is get people interested in it. They make headlines, whether it's in the newspapers, on television, and gets people interested in watching the game. The biggest issue to make the game more exciting is rewarding players for what fans want to see. If fans want to see more action, then you need to reward players for guys that are more consistently putting the ball in play, or rewarding singles more than, I don't want to say more than home runs, but players have adapted to what baseball rewards them for. The industry does not fear the strikeout, so players therefore don't have 2-strike approaches. They continue to try to hit homers and try to slug. But if you continue to reward players to be just better baseball players, to have the ability to hit the ball to all fields, to steal bases, to play defense, to do all the little things right, you're going to get a better brand of baseball.
That's a really good answer. Okay, this last question might be tough for you to answer since you're a part of the MLB brotherhood and friends with many players. But you know, Chatty, I'm never shy, so I'm just going to ask it anyways, and hopefully you won't get mad at it. You work your butt off all year, day in and day out, trying to win a World Series, and then comes along the Houston Astros and just cheat their way to a title. How did you feel about the scandal when you heard about it? It felt like slime ball central in Houston. Am I wrong, Kevin?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't happy about it. I definitely do feel like there were some teams that were at a disadvantage. I do also believe that they're not the only ones that were doing it. I think that there is a system in place that has been in place for a long time, that has been organically been able to, steal, catch a sign. I think it's just part of the game. I think it's giving teams an edge. I think when teams bring in technology or video surveillance, things like that into the game, I definitely think it's a bad look for baseball. I think it's a bad look for a lot of the players that were involved. But I think baseball is doing a good job of trying to clean it up and level the playing field for all. And I know that teams are going to continue to do whatever it takes to find an edge. I just hope that there is, with everything that happened, I think there's got to be a moral compass when you feel like you've crossed the line a little bit too much.
Kevin, this has been an absolute dream come true. You're a heck of a guy for joining me on Jake's Takes during spring training. I'm actually coming to Florida on Sunday for 2 weeks. Do the Mets allow fans at spring training games?
They do.
Well, if you want, I'm willing to come into the clubhouse and give you guys a real pregame pep talk like you've never heard before. The offer is on the table.
I would love that. Then you got to run it by. You got to run it by a lot of different people now. You got to run it by. Front office. You got to run it by the manager. You got to run it by the players, and most importantly, you got to run it by our COVID police. If I can get all those things taken care of, and yes, the COVID police is a real thing. So if I can run it by all those people, I think the guys would just be super pumped to have a pregame speech.
You are the best ever. Wishing you tons of luck in the upcoming season. And remember, Kevin, you are a forever Toronto Blue Jay. Hey guys, you won't believe the guest I have next week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.